was not planning on updating my color grading video, but after I dropped Unchained and got a new camera, I started getting a bunch more requests for one. So in this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at how I turned this shot into this shot. It's worth noting that I shoot in a profile called CINESTYLE. It's a free profile made by Technicolor and it can be installed on most Canon cameras. Basically what this is a really flat picture profile that retains as much detail as possible in the shot. So in camera it looks very dull and boring, but when I'm color grading I'll have a lot more options and I can push colors a lot further. It's also worth noting that I have two scopes open, the vector scope and the parade. These scopes show a map of all the pixels in the image and where they lie in terms of saturation or luminance. The parade shows you all of the brightness values in the image, 0 being black and 100 being completely white. The vector scope shows you all of the pixels and where they lie in terms of saturation. So the center of the vector scope are pixels that are desaturated, and as these colors start to expand, that means they're getting more and more saturated. These scopes give you a really solid way to see exactly what colors are doing to your image. So the first thing I want to do is take the flat footage from my camera and bring back a lifelike amount of contrast. I'll start by bringing down my black point until a couple pixels on the parade touch 0. I'll do the same with the white point. Drag it up until a couple pixels are completely white. Obviously, if there's a blown out light in the shot, then those pixels will probably be beyond 100, but that is not a big deal and won't affect the grade in any way. So now I'll just add a touch of saturation to bring back a little bit more color into the image. Now that we've done all this, we've essentially unflattened the image and brought back a bunch more life into the shot. So now this is the part where I like to push colors a little bit further and really go for that dark and dramatic teal and orange look that I try to go for. I'll start by adding a broad S-curve. This is going to add a bunch more contrast into the clip and it's going to help us get that dramatic look that we want. Then I'll scroll down to hue versus saturation. What this tool allows you to do is adjust the saturation of individual colors. I'm going to start off by marking off our warm tones. We don't want to mess with any of those warm tones. Then I'll basically just desaturate everything else, especially magenta and green. Most artifacts in your shot are either magenta or green, so by desaturating those two colors, you're going to clean up the image quite a bit. I like to shoot a lot of my videos in some kind of nature or in a forest, so green tones are particularly important with the work that I do, so I'm not going to bring that down all the way. Then I'm going to go down to hue v hue. This tool allows you to change the hue of other hues. I'm going to start the same way by marking off the skin tones and then shifting greens to a cooler, more minty color. I'm going to do the same with the blues in my shot and shift them closer to teal. Be careful with this slider, okay? If you push colors too far, a bunch of artifacts start to show up and your whole grade just falls apart. Next, I'm going to go all the way down to HSL secondary and select all of our warm tones. Once I'm happy with my selection, I'm going to invert the mask and drop the temperature and tint of everything else. This is going to make the warm tones look a lot richer and the cool tones a little bit cooler. I will also add a little bit of vignette and feather it out all the way. There are two more things that I need to do to kind of finalize the grade. I'll add a new Lumetri color effect and then go into curves and retract some red from the shadows. That is going to be adding a teal tint to all the shadows in the image. Lastly, I'm gonna scroll down to saturation versus luma. This allows you to change the saturation of different luminance values in the image. I don't want to screw up the image too much, so all I'm gonna do is desaturate the whitest points and the blackest points of the image. That will clean up any tint that we have in the deepest shadows or the brightest highlights. We don't want any tint there, we want those to be completely white or completely black. Something that I do on every shot is add the diffused highlights effect. Basically, I duplicate my shot, isolate the highlights, blur them out, and then overlay them back onto my original shot. If you want a more in-depth video on this, I'm gonna link that in the cards. And that's basically it for today's tutorial. I hope you liked it or found some kind of value from it. If you did, please feel free to support me by leaving a like on this video, sharing it with your friends, or even subscribing to my channel. But that's it for today. No more videos for a week. Seriously, I'm not joking. I'm actually gonna go on a trip to shoot a short film for you guys. I probably won't be seeing you for another week or two. But when I come back, I'm gonna come back better, so definitely stay tuned for the new short film. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe, stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.